afternoon, colleagues, and you're very welcome to Culture and Engagement's Financial Wellbeing Webinar Wednesday. I'm Mark Simpson. This trimester, we've been running a program of 12 webinars every Wednesday at 3 p.m. So please register for the upcoming ones that interest you. Today, I'm delighted that we've Michael Acton with us from Willis Towers Watson. And Michael's going to take us through the UCD income protection and voluntary life assurance plans that you have access to as UCD employees. If you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A function on Zoom. We are recording this webinar and we'll post it to the Culture and Engagement YouTube channel afterwards. So if you want to catch it again, or if you want to advise colleagues or team members that it's there. I'm going to hand over now to Michael for his presentation, which will take up to maybe 15 minutes. We'll then handle any questions that you have. That's perfect, Michael. We can see that fine.
That's all. Excellent. Technology hasn't let us down, Mark, thankfully. Thanks for the introduction, and many thanks to everybody for joining the session today. I know the two subjects that we'll be talking about here, income protection and life assurance, may not seem to be the most glamorous of benefits, or if you were to look at it in financial wellness as a whole. However, they certainly form an integral part of any employees or anybody's financial well-being. And just before we start, a slight bit of housekeeping. So we will discuss the income protection and life assurance plans. However, if anyone has any queries regarding company sick leave, UCD sick leave, queries can be directed to the HR help desk email address, or information on absenteeism and sickness can be found on the UCD HR site, as we won't be covering specific information within this session. So as discussed, we are going to be looking at the income protection and life assurance plans, and we'll go through each one in a little bit of detail, the benefits and the costs. I suppose when we look at the first plan, which is the income protection plan, and one thing we see all too often in our line of work are people who are out for prolonged periods of time through illness or accident. And unfortunately, we do see that a lot. Income protection itself is basically designed to provide a replacement salary. So again, on the topic of financial well-being, when you kind of take into account a lot of the key elements of financial wellness, whether it will be health insurance, mortgages, rent, creche, pension, savings, and all the stuff that really takes the immediate concerns up that people deal with on a day-to-day basis. I suppose these are the what if parts, the protection parts. I'm not saying that health insurance isn't a protection part, but it's certainly more of a day-to-day benefit than income protection or life assurance. And for anyone who isn't insured or have income protection cover and you're an employee, unfortunately, if something was to happen and you were out of work for a prolonged period of time, you would be reduced to the social welfare benefit amount. And again, that can add significant financial pressures, not only on the person, but also on their family. So we'll talk about the benefits a little bit in terms of the UCD plans. The benefit level for income protection is 75%. And as a very quick example there, for an employee with a salary of 60,000 can expect a total replacement income of 45,000 euros. And that would be made up of the 75%, the benefit amount, plus the social welfare deduction for class 1 employees. And an approximate cost for that level of benefit is €17.40 per month. The thing about income protection is that it's widespread within the public service as the private sector, as an employee benefit. Within the public side of the public service sector, it's a little bit more unattainable outside of arrangements such as the arrangements that UCD have in place. So there would be a lot of public service organizations that would have voluntary schemes in place, but not all of them. And to have the ability to be able to take up an income protection plan to be able to protect your salary is again, from a protection perspective, very, very very important. And Plan 2 is the Voluntary Life Assurance Plan. The Voluntary Life Assurance Plan effectively is an additional lump sum benefit in addition to your pension benefit, and it's at 2 times salary. There are ancillary benefits as well. So there are 3 additional benefits which we'll discuss in a later slide. And if we take the same person in terms of an employee on a salary of 60,000, the cash lump sum benefit would be 120,000 euros for a cost net of tax of 10.50 euros per month. And again, in terms of access to a benefit like that, obviously, you know, it's a little bit grim talking about life assurance and so forth, but putting protections in place for people you may leave behind is always an important thing to do. In terms of, I suppose, what are the benefits and what would the benefits be on both income protection and life assurance above purchasing these types of products out on the open market yourself? Well, income protection, first and foremost, can be very restrictive. Smoker status comes into play, age comes into play, gender to a certain extent, although thankfully nowhere near as much as it used to be. And cost, it can be a fairly cost-heavy benefit to purchase on your own. And for people who are not currently in the income protection plan and are considering joining the income protection plan, you can go online and run a number of quotations and shop about just to, you know, give yourself that peace of mind that the UCD plan and scheme is based on preferential rates for UCD employees. Likewise with the voluntary life assurance plan, you'll be able to do that online and see example costings based on your own personal circumstances. Again, coming back to additional benefits in terms of joining, there is preferential entry for UCD employees. The income protection plan is auto-enrollment. All employees are auto-enrolled with contracts over 6 months post January 2020 without the need for underwriting. However, if an employee has not joined and is required to complete underwriting, the underwriting is not as extensive as an open market quote if you were to purchase the benefit yourself. And it doesn't increase if you are a smoker or, you know, your age doesn't feed into the cost. The cost is set for employees, which we'll have a look at in some later slides. It's tax efficient as well, in that premiums are deducted from salary, and they are you do benefit from tax relief on premiums. And just to note, in terms of voluntary life assurance, the maximum benefit that is payable in Ireland currently is 4 times salary. And that will obviously take into account your UCD pension benefit and the additional 2 times salary there. So you'll still fall underneath the 4 times salary. So any benefit under the voluntary life assurance plan would be paid out to your estate tax-free. And again, just simplicity in terms of how the benefits or the premiums are deducted from from salary by UCD. Okay, so just moving on in terms of becoming a member. As I said, the income protection plan is auto-enrollment for employees with contracts in excess of 6 months or longer that commence on or after the 1st of Jan 2020, or contracts for 9 months or longer which commence before January 2020. Although, again, if anyone who has not joined the plan, you can do so, and there are relevant forms that are available on the HR site through the link as outlined on screen there. In terms of the life assurance plan, it is not an auto-enrollment plan, so employees do need to take action, and the forms to join the life assurance plan are outlined there through the following link. In terms of process, when joining either plan, again, access the forms online, return the forms to HR, and then the relevant insurance company will provide acceptance confirmation. Just to note that the income protection benefits are insured with New Ireland, who are a very large insurer here, and the life assurance benefits are insured through Irish Life. So two very large and reputable Irish insurers insure the benefits here for UCD. Okay, so just look at the benefits in a little more detail. So we're looking at the income protection benefit first and foremost. There's two parts to the income protection benefit itself, and that's stage 1 and stage 2, as you can see there in the center. So the existing sick pay, as you would see there on the left-hand side for non-critically ill employees, would be full pay for the first 13 weeks. Then the next 13 weeks would be at half pay. Stage 1 would kick off from the insurance after the first 13 weeks, which will pay an initial benefit of 25%. And then the actual full benefit will increase then after the next 13 weeks to 75%. And obviously there's different costs for Class A and Class D based employees. So if we look at an example from a cost perspective of an employee with a salary of 60,000, there would be a benefit, again, payable up to 45,000 replacement income, which is made up of the income protection benefit of 75% plus the social welfare deduction. The social welfare benefit, apologies, it's not a deduction, it's an addition. And the cost for those benefits in terms of Class 1 employees would be €17.40 per month net of tax. And for Class D employees, €22.50 per month, again, net of tax. Okay, and we look at the voluntary life assurance plan in a little bit more detail as well. So the additional benefit that's payable, as we discussed on one of the previous slides, is 2 times salary. There are additional benefits payable in excess to the 2 times salary. The first one is a €5,000 children's benefit, and the second is a €15,000 accidental death benefit. And the third is a terminal illness benefit, which is an advance payment of 25% of the death benefit if life expectancy is 12 months or less. And I know that sounds very grim, but again, as part of anyone's overall financial well-being, and certainly when you're looking at a protection element, to take into account these benefits is really important. They are very much what-if benefits, specifically the life assurance benefit. But nonetheless, equally as important, just in case anything was to happen, that your dependents are covered. The cost of the life assurance benefit is 0.3% of salary. And if we look below at the example, again, using a member with a salary of €60,000 would provide an additional benefit of €120,000, being the 2 times salary, at a cost of €10.50 per month after tax. Again, just to reiterate, in terms of the cost, the rates for both the income protection and life assurance scheme are effectively using the economies of scale of UCD, and to try and purchase those benefits outside on the open market typically would be a lot more expensive for most people. Okay. Just in terms of the income protection plan, again, as we discussed in one of the earlier slides, there is the ability to opt out. Members can opt out at any stage, and the form is available there, as you can see, through the income protection section on the UCD HR site. Just one thing to note in terms of opting out, for employees, again, who wish to opt in at a later stage, back in, will need to complete underwriting. Again, it's not as extensive as underwriting on the open market. However, if at that point in time you may have an illness or a condition, the insurance company may not guarantee your acceptance to the plan. So it's just it's a key one to note there for anyone who has opted out, or if anyone who's considering opting out, that membership cannot be guaranteed, as underwriting then will come into play if you wish to opt in at a later time. Okay, and again, just in terms of income protection, taking stock of needs, as we discussed, maybe a good idea for anyone who has existing insurance to consider the benefit of joining the income protection plan through UCD. It could be at a lower cost through the UCD scheme. However, if you have had or have personal income protection for a number of years and you pay for it yourself privately, it may be for a reason. And just to note that the income protection scheme through UCD is linked to your employment. So if you were to leave or replace your income protection policy that you have on a personal capacity with the UCD plan, you will be covered, of course, through the UCD plan. However, if you leave UCD and wish to then go back to the open market and take out personal income protection again, at that point in time, you may not be accepted if you have any kind of illness or condition or age. The cost may be a lot more than what it previously was. So just one piece of consideration there for anyone who has personal income protection policies. Again, shop around. The internet's a wonderful tool, and the insurance companies allow people to go on now and run quotations. They are typically approximate quotations, as the insurance companies for benefits like income protection would need full disclosure on medical history and so forth before they can set a premium, but it would give a good indication in terms of the cost of those benefits on that benefit on the open market. And the last two there, in terms of employees with lower salaries or employees reaching normal retirement age that aren't currently insured or are currently insured, maybe again a sense check in terms of the benefit that you may get from the plan. So looking at the benefit range and then what would potentially be in payment for yourself or otherwise should a claim arise.